Hello and welcome to Daily Dose Radio, a 5-minute-a-day podcast studying the Psalms verse by verse, recorded here in the dining room of the Bible Bistro, located in Sharonville, Ohio. Hey there, friend. Welcome back to Daily Dose Radio here in the Bible Bistro. Come on in here and sit down with me. Grab yourself something hot or cold to drink. Sit here at the table and let's open our Bibles up. Today we're looking at Psalm 124, today verses 4 and 5. Now, I've already said this week, we've got this huge conditional statement. 2 ifs and 3 thens. If the Lord were not for us. And then he repeats that. If the Lord were not for us. And he asks Israel to confess this and say it with him. And then we have the first then in verse 3. Then they, that is, those men who rose up against us, they would have, and this is what would have happened if the Lord were not for us, they would have swallowed us alive when their anger was kindled against us. All right, so that's the first then. The second and the third then come here in verses 4 and 5. So if you have your Bible there, let's read this. And if you don't have your Bible, if you're in the car or you can't get to your Bible or you don't have one with you, let me read it for us. So verses 4 and 5. Then the waters would have overflowed us. The river would have passed over our soul. Then it would have passed over our soul, the waters of the insolent. Now that's my translation. Let me read verse 4 and 5 from the King James. Then the waters had overwhelmed us. The stream had gone over our soul. Then the proud waters had gone over our soul. So we have the waters here. It's repeated, once, twice. And passed over is repeated twice, because that's what flood waters do, don't they? They pass over things. And I wonder if Isaiah didn't have this psalm in mind when he wrote in Isaiah 59. Let me turn over there to that. Verse 19. So shall they fear the name of the Lord from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord shall lift up a standard against him. Yeah, if the Lord had not been on our side, if he had not been for us, when men rose up against us, the waters would have overflowed us. It would have been a flood. They would have passed over our soul. But Isaiah says the Spirit of the Lord lifts up a standard against the enemy. Even though the waters come in like a flood, he lifts up a standard against that flood. We have that in Isaiah. But I want you to notice something. Not only are waters repeated here in 4 and 5, and passed over is repeated here in 4 and 5. That is, the flood would have just gone right over the top of us. Nothing could have stopped it. And of course, Isaiah tells us that the Spirit of God can stop it. But notice that it's pass over our soul. Yeah. It's gone over our soul. And that's repeated twice in verse 4 and in verse 5. So we see suddenly that this is not only a physical danger, but there's a spiritual danger here as well. So the ones who rise up against us may not just be men, but as I said, is that force of evil in the world, the devil and his angels, and all those that are opposed to God. They're the ones that rise up and threaten not only physical life, but our spirits as well, our soul. This is a soulish danger. And do you know that men, not just men, but the enemy wants to rise up against your soul and flood you today? He does. Be on the lookout. Make sure you're careful. Watch your meditations. Read the Word. Pray. Seek the Lord's face. Because it's dangerous out there, folks. And we have the 2 ifs and the 2 thens. If it wasn't for the Lord, well, then we would just be out of luck, wouldn't we? Okay, join me again tomorrow. We're going to look at verses 6 and 7 here on Daily Dose Radio. Thanks for listening to Daily Dose Radio. For more fresh and delicious Bible studies, podcasts, books, and more, check out the Bible Bistro online and on YouTube. Join me again next time for Daily Dose Radio.